we're going to wrap up this episode with Predict a Commit. Our graph, for those that watch on YouTube, the graphic is getting a little out of control just with me wanting to have 2 Predict a Commits every episode. Things have just unraveled faster than I expected. So not going to have that graphic. We're working on getting a better, more aesthetically pleasing for the YouTube graphic that we hope to have next time, but we'll figure that out. Don't worry about the details about the graphic. Wanting to update everybody on who we have picked up to this point. Jordan has taken running back Derek Cooper, linebacker Tyler Atkinson, defensive lineman Carter Lucky, tight end Mark Bowman, safety Jordan Smith, offensive lineman Jared Smith, and then last episode you took edge rusher Kamari Brooks from North Oconee High School. I have offensive lineman Graham Houston, defensive back Zach Fort, always have to call out, check mark next to that one for me, running back Jay Lamar, offensive lineman Desmond Green, defensive back Tyreek Green, offensive lineman Jackson Cantwell, and last episode wide receiver Ryan Mosley. Jordan, I'm going to let you go first this time. Who you got?
That was a dangerous decision.
It was.
This is one I went back and forth on quite a bit, and I will preface this by saying this is not a crystal ball because I know how people are going to be when they see it. But
I think I know what you're about to do here.
All right, let's see. Let's get this bad boy pulled up on the other screen.
Yeah, you did it. You did it. I didn't think you were going to do it.
Let's see here. Hold tight, everybody.
And for everyone that's still waiting because of Jordan's suspense, I was considering doing this. I was not going to, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're doing this.
I appreciate that, and I want to thank you for backing me up here. But we're doing it. Jared Curtis is going to be my predicted commit. Again, it's a situation where we don't know this for sure. There's still, I would not at all be surprised if Oregon wound up winning out here, but just all we've heard, and again, what I think is one of the things that's really striking from the talk around his recruitment, especially of late, is how much staying close to home matters. And I think that, as much as people really put a lot of stock in the fact that, Oregon is one of these contenders, and we know the amount of money that Oregon's going to put up. I think the connections at Georgia, I think how comfortable he and his family are at Georgia, I think it wins out. And I'm picking Jared Curtis, knowing full well I'm going to hear about it if he is an Oregon Duck. But I had to do it. I see the path to him recommitting to Georgia. So Jared Curtis is my predicted commit.
Bold, but I respect the hell out of the pick. I did consider doing this just because I knew we were going to be talking about Jared Curtis and the quarterback position a lot. And I think that there is some credibility to having the quarterback. Because, here's the reality. If Jared Curtis until Jared Curtis commits, I no longer am going to be able to pick a quarterback for a predicted commit, because if I just can't feel comfortable one way versus the other at any quarterback other than Jared Curtis right now. So you kind of tied my hands behind my back now, where it's like I now, like Georgia and Oregon, have to sit here and wait for Jared Curtis to make his decision to see where I might pivot to. But if he ends up choosing Georgia, I'm not going to have a quarterback on my predicted commit list for the entire cycle, and I think that will reflect well on your list when it's all said and done. So I like that pick. It is risky because, like you said, there's a world where 3 days from now he's committed to Oregon, and then whatever. But that's why we love this show, and that's why we love the courage that you bring to this show, Jordan. Because I think that was a good pick, and I also think now is the right time to make that pick.
Sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit.
That's right. I'm going to go with what I consider a much safer pick than this. And it's actually at a position group that I've already taken a couple of guys at, but I'm trying to bolster up that offensive line up front. I've already taken Graham Houston, which is a pick that I feel very strongly about when it comes to Georgia and the interior offensive line. I took a little bit of a risk with Jackson Cantwell because he is a big-time recruitment that will get competitive with Oregon and Missouri and Miami and a few others. And so I don't necessarily feel as convicted in that pick as I do some other ones. So I'm going to bolster up the offensive line with an elite talent that I think Georgia should feel really good about right now, and there's a lot of reasons for it. And that is Echan Ogboko from South Garner High School in North Carolina. That is the younger brother of Nnamdi Ogboko. And Jordan, you did something really savvy, I think, earlier in the cycle or in a previous episode by taking Carter Lucky, the younger brother of Lawson Lucky. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to take those family ties. This is someone that is he's a big body. This is a big dude. I remember even going, and this might be, for those watching on YouTube, Jordan's scrolling through the photos. If you keep going, Jordan, there might be some toward the end with him and Nnamdi standing next to each other when I went to one of their South Garner games. I hope that's the case so that I'm not, getting people possibly being able to see it when that's not the case. But I found it very interesting because I'm there to see a guy that's signing to be Georgia's defensive lineman, and his brother just dwarfs him. I mean, I remember Nnamdi was even laughing about it, but when we went to go take the photo, we were standing on sort of a weird slanted hill where Nnamdi wanted to be on the higher side of the hill. So, yep, you're seeing the photo right here. Nnamdi wanted to be on the higher side of the hill so that he looked a little bit taller compared to Echan because he knew how it might look, him standing next to a then sophomore younger brother. But that's just a testament to what Echan brings as a prospect. I mean, he fits that 6'6", pushing 300 pounds that Georgia really likes. Could probably play tackle, could probably play guard. I think that Georgia wanted to be patient with his development to see where it's at. But this is a highly ranked guy that Georgia just has the inside track on because of his older brother's recruitment. And so that's someone that I do think Georgia is going to end up signing when it's all said and done.
I like that pick a lot. Again, it's one of those where, especially as we go through this, I don't know, Ben, if you found this, it's like when we started the predicted commit segment, you kind of like, oh, this feels like a pretty obvious one. And we're getting to the point as we pick guys, you kind of have to work a little harder to find ones that, I don't know if you'd necessarily say are obvious, but like, okay, I really like the chances here. Hard not to think that with Echan. And again, it won't be easy. A lot of high-profile teams are recruiting him. And I think that's the thing to keep in mind, too. I think it's easy as a fan to be like, oh, they're recruiting him because of his brother. Like, wow, really working hard there, But these are him, Carter, Lucky. I mean, these are super talented guys. I think Georgia's making the most of those already established relationships. And I'm with you. I like Georgia's chances with this one.
Definitely. But yeah, I am with you as well. It's becoming more and more challenging to pick on a weekly basis who we think it's going to be or who we think are worthy predicted commits. And as we're seeing with Brady Marchese, like there are some guys that we don't have on our list that might sneak in there and be able to do it. And so, we'll see. Maybe we'll do 2 next time. Maybe I'll get back on my two an episode flair and just see what we do as well. But I like both of those picks, Jared and Echan. There's a legitimate world where Ogboko is blocking for Curtis for years and years to come.
I think a lot of Georgia fans would be excited for it to play out that way.